Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to explore this concept of Save Yoga. And I think it's more than just, like lending a helping hand.
Right.
It's really about giving without any expectation of reward. But what's so interesting to me is like the why behind Seva.
Mm.
Like, why is this such a cornerstone in these spiritual traditions? Like, what makes it so much more than just doing good deeds?
Yeah, that is the beauty of Seva Yoga. I mean, it operates on so many different levels, right? It's
Yeah.
practical and spiritual and transformative. And I know a lot of saints often use the analogy of soap to describe it.
Okay, that's a very vivid image.
Yeah.
So what is this soap cleansing? Is it about scrubbing away like negativity or bad karma or something else entirely?
Yeah, it's about purifying the individual and kind of making them ready for that spiritual growth.
Yep.
Think of it like this. Every action we take, every thought we have, all of that kind of leaves a subtle impression on us.
Right.
Seva acts like a solvent. It dissolves those impressions, particularly the self-centered ones that really cloud our perception and hinder our spiritual progress.
So it's not just about helping others, it's about refining ourselves in the process.
Absolutely.
But if we're becoming purer, less self-centered, does that mean there's less of a self left to do the serving? I mean, it seems paradoxical.
It is a question worth pondering, but let's first look at a story about the Sufi mystic Jamie. He had this young disciple whose only task was to clean toilets. And the disciple's mother, who was wealthy, was horrified, and she offered to send slaves instead.
Oh, wow.
But Jamie refused, saying the act of cleaning, no matter what it was, held this transformative power.
So the lesson here is that like any act, even one that's considered menial, can be seva if it's performed with the right intention. Like it's not about the task itself, but the spirit in which it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
perfect.
about approaching everything with humility and an attitude of service. The story really emphasizes that even the most mundane task can be a stepping stone if it's approached as seva. And that brings us back to kind of your earlier point about the self doing the serving. As we purify ourselves through these selfless actions, maybe we start to connect with a deeper, more universal self that lies beyond, our limited ego.
That's a very profound thought. That Seva might be a way to actually dissolve the boundaries of our individual selves and connect with something greater.
And as we move away from that self-centered perspective, our motivation for serving also undergoes a transformation.
Okay.
It becomes less about me and more about cultivating a connection with something bigger than ourselves.
So you're saying that our reasons for doing Seva evolve as we progress on the spiritual path.
Absolutely.
What might those different motivations look like?
So in the beginning, our reasons might be fairly simple. Maybe we feel a sense of social responsibility, a desire to help others, or maybe we're drawn to that sense of community that Seva can foster.
Okay, so those are all valid starting points.
Absolutely.
It sounds like those initial motivations might even be a little self-serving in a way, right? Like we're drawn to those good feelings that come from helping others, or we're seeking a sense of belonging within that community.
That's true, but it's important to remember that every journey has to begin with a single step.
Right.
As our understanding deepens, as we experience that transformative power of Seva, our motivations start to shift.
Okay, so what does that evolution look like? What kind of deeper motivations emerge as our understanding of Seva grows?
Well, as our love for the Master deepens, for example, Seva becomes an expression of that love, a tangible way to show our gratitude and devotion.
So it's less about what we gain from serving and more about the joy of offering ourselves in service.
Precisely. And it becomes less about what we gain from serving and more about the joy of offering ourselves in service. And this brings us to this very powerful saying,
Okay.
we need Seva, but Seva doesn't need us.
Wow, that's a very powerful statement.
Mm-hmm.
It suggests that Seva is like a force unto itself, something that exists beyond our individual efforts. But if Seva doesn't need us, why do we need Seva? What is it about this selfless service that is so essential for our own growth?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll definitely delve into as we continue our deep dive today. What's so fascinating about Seva is that it operates on multiple levels. It simultaneously cleanses the individual, and it strengthens our connection to something greater than ourselves, and it fosters this sense of community and belonging.
Right.
But maybe the most profound aspect of Seva is its ability to lead us to inner transformation, a journey that takes us beyond the limitations of our ego and towards a deeper understanding of our true nature.
That's an incredible thought, that through selfless service, we can actually transcend that limited sense of self and connect with something far greater.
Absolutely.
It's like a paradox, where by giving ourselves away, we actually discover something more profound within.
And as we journey deeper into this exploration of Seva Yoga, we'll uncover more of those paradoxes, those seemingly contradictory truths that really do reveal that transformative power of selfless service.
I'm already eager to dive deeper. But before we do, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered so far.
Okay.
We've explored the concept of Seva as this purifying soap, cleansing away those mental and emotional impressions that hinder our spiritual growth. We've discussed how even the most mundane tasks can be transformed into Seva if approached with the right intention.
And we've also begun to unpack that evolution of motivations behind Seva, starting from those very basic desires to help or belong, and moving towards that deeper understanding of selfless service as an expression of love and devotion, a path to connect with something greater than ourselves.
Well, this has already been such a rich and multifaceted exploration, and we're just getting started. Stay with us as we continue our deep dive into the world of Seva Yoga, where we'll uncover even more insights into this very profound practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, see you after the break.
Before we move on, I'd like to add that as our understanding of Seva evolves, so too does our experience of it. That initial sense of satisfaction we might feel from helping others really deepens into a much more profound sense of joy and fulfillment. It comes from aligning ourselves with something that's larger than our individual selves.
That's a fascinating point. So it's not just our motivations that transform, but also the very nature of joy that we experience through Seva.
Exactly.
It becomes less about the, fleeting happiness of like a job well done,
Yeah.
and more about this deep, abiding sense of contentment.
It really is. It's a shift from seeking happiness in external validation or personal gain to finding it in the act of giving itself.
Okay.
Remember that there is more happiness in giving than in taking. There's more joy in donating than receiving any gift.
Okay, that reminds me of something you mentioned earlier, like the idea that Seva can help to quiet the mind and prepare us for meditation.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that connection a little bit? How does selfless service lead to that state of mental stillness?
Well, our minds are often like a whirlwind of thoughts and desires and anxieties. It's difficult to sit down and meditate when your mind is in that state.
Right.
But Seva, particularly physical Seva, acts as a bridge to that stillness.
So it's like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
By engaging in activity that's focused on something other than ourselves, we naturally start to detach from those internal distractions.
Precisely. And as we shift that focus outward, that constant chatter of the mind really does begin to quiet down.
Right.
Creating that space for a much deeper sense of inner peace. You can almost think of it like weeding a garden. Seva helps us clear away the mental clutter so that something beautiful can grow.
That's a very helpful analogy.
Yeah.
But how does this relate to meditation specifically? Is it simply that a calmer mind is more conducive to meditation, or is there a deeper connection between Seva and the meditative state?
There's definitely a deeper connection.
Okay.
The practice of Seva really cultivates many of the qualities that are essential for meditation. Things like humility and selflessness and focus and a sense of detachment from our ego. So by engaging in selfless service, we're essentially training our minds to let go of that self-absorption and become more present and attentive.
So the mental discipline that we develop through Seva carries over into our meditation practice.
Yes, absolutely.
Like we're building those mental muscles needed to quiet the mind and access a deeper level of awareness.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it works both ways.
Oh.
The stillness and clarity that we cultivate through meditation, that can also enhance our experience of Seva.
Okay.
It allows us to act with greater presence and compassion and understanding.
It sounds like there's a beautiful synergy between Seva and meditation.
Absolutely.
Each practice supporting and enriching the other.
It is. And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of Seva, its ability to transform even the most mundane activities into opportunities for spiritual growth.
Okay.
Remember how Jamie emphasized that the act of cleaning, no matter what was being cleaned, held that transformative power?
Right.
Well, that principle really does apply to any action that we undertake, if we undertake it with the spirit of selfless service.
So we're not just talking about grand gestures or these formal acts of service. Seva can be found in the everyday,
Precisely.
like in the ordinary,
Yeah.
if we approach it with the right attitude.
Exactly. Cooking a meal or cleaning the house or tending a garden, all of these seemingly mundane activities can become acts of Seva.
Right.
If we perform them with mindful awareness and a sense of dedication, it's about seeing the divine in the everyday and offering our actions as a form of worship.
That's such a beautiful way to look at it. It's about infusing our daily lives with this sense of purpose and meaning, transforming the ordinary into something sacred
Absolutely.
through the spirit of selfless service.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and recognizing that spiritual potential in every moment.
Okay.
And as we do this, we really do begin to experience a profound shift within ourselves. Our ego, that sense of separateness, the self-importance, that starts to dissolve, and it makes way for a deeper connection with the divine.
This is starting to sound a lot like the concept of the selfless self that we touched on earlier.
Yes.
Like the idea that through Seva, we can connect with a deeper, more universal aspect of ourselves that lies beyond the limitations of our ego.
That's a very keen observation, and it really is a key principle in understanding the transformative power of Seva.
Okay.
It's not just about doing good deeds, it's about cultivating a state of being, a way of living that embodies the principles of love, compassion, and selfless service.
Okay.
And as we delve deeper into this way of being, we start to uncover those profound truths about our own nature and our connection to the divine.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've explored how Seva not only calms the mind and prepares us for meditation, but also transforms mundane activities into these opportunities for spiritual growth, leading us towards a deeper connection with our true selves and the divine.
Absolutely. And what's even more fascinating is the impact that this has not just on individuals, but on the community as a whole.
Right.
Remember, Seva creates a sense of unity and harmony, binding people together in a shared purpose and fostering that sense of love and understanding.
This is where the ripple effect of Seva really comes into play, right? It's not just about personal transformation. It's about creating a more compassionate and interconnected world.
Exactly. But before we delve into that, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed so far.
Okay.
We've uncovered that deeper connection between Seva and meditation, explored how even the most mundane actions can become acts of service, and touched upon the profound transformation that Seva can spark within us, leading us towards a deeper understanding of our true nature and our connection to the divine.
This has been such a rich and multifaceted exploration, and I am eager to continue our deep dive into the world of Seva Yoga, where we'll explore its impact on the community and the worlds around us. But for now, let's take a moment to absorb these powerful insights and allow them to settle within us. Welcome back to our deep dive into Seva Yoga. Before we took a pause, we were talking about how Seva can transform not just the individual, but the community as a whole.
Right. And it's interesting how Seva acts as this kind of glue that binds people together,
Okay.
When we engage in selfless service alongside others, it creates that shared experience, that common purpose that transcends our individual differences.
So it's like we're all weaving a tapestry together, and each act of service is adding a thread that strengthens the fabric of the community.
That's a really beautiful way to put it.
Yes.
And as we weave this tapestry, we begin to see the interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
And we realize that our actions, no matter how small they may seem, they have an impact on the world around us.
So Seva is a way to kind of move beyond that illusion of separation and experience a true sense of unity and belonging.
Exactly. And as we cultivate this sense of unity, we naturally start to treat each other with more kindness, compassion, and understanding.
Right.
We start to see that divine spark in every being and recognize that we are all part of something so much larger than ourselves.
That's such a powerful message, especially in today's world, where division and conflict seem to be, everywhere you look. And it makes me wonder if Seva could actually be a kind of antidote to this sense of fragmentation, like a way to heal the divides that separate us.
That's a really profound thought and one that's worth exploring further. Remember, Seva is about offering ourselves without any expectation of reward, without attachment to the outcome. When we act from this place of selflessness, we create this ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate circle.
So it's like planting a seed of compassion that can grow and blossom into something much larger.
Exactly. And as this seed takes root and spreads, it has the power to transform not just individuals and communities, but the world as a whole.
That's incredible.
And what's really fascinating here is that Seva doesn't require these grand gestures or heroic acts,
Okay.
It's about showing up in those everyday moments.
Right.
Offering our time and energy with an open heart and a willingness to serve.
It sounds like we're talking about a revolution of the heart, a movement toward a world where compassion and selfless service become the guiding principles.
That's a beautiful way to frame it, and it's a vision that's within our reach, you know?
Okay.
If we're willing to embrace that transformative power of Seva Yoga, remember, Seva is not just a practice, it's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a path to self-discovery and a source of profound joy and fulfillment.
This has been such an illuminating deep dive into the world of Seva Yoga. I
Yeah.
mean, we've really explored its multifaceted nature, from its purifying effects on the individual to its power to transform communities and create a more compassionate world.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dives today, what really stands out to you from this exploration? What will you take away?
What stands out to me is the way Seva connects us all, you know? It dissolves those boundaries we create between ourselves and others and allows us to tap into a deeper sense of unity.
That's beautiful.
That's
For me, it's that realization that Seva is not just about doing good deeds, you know?
right.
It's about cultivating a state of being, a way of living that embodies these principles of love, compassion, and selfless service.
Mm-hmm.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and offering ourselves as instruments of healing and transformation.
That's a really beautiful takeaway. And as you continue your own exploration of Seva Yoga, you know, remember to approach it with an open heart, a curious mind, and a willingness to embrace that transformative power of selfless service.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to reflect on the insights we've shared today and perhaps consider how you might incorporate the practice of Seva into your own life.
right.
Remember, even the smallest acts of kindness and service can make a real difference. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep spreading the light of compassion.